and you can take it once I do.
Beautiful, beautiful. I appreciate you.
Good deal. So, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of College and Career Pathways, where every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 2 p.m., we provide you with information on various colleges and universities, financial aid resources, training programs, technical schools, skilled trade professions, employment opportunities, career exploration, and career readiness skills, all designed to help you make the best career decisions possible. I'm Tony Curitin, your host, and today we will be speaking with Florida A&M University. Welcome, Lester. We are so glad to have you.
Beautiful, Ms. Carrington. You're far too nice to me. I appreciate that kind introduction and colleagues, friends. I'm so glad to be here. I'm representing FAMU today as the Assistant Vice President for Enrollment Management. That's a fancy title for, I'm in the talent acquisition business. And we think your students are the talent. If they're committed and they want to be around other talented and committed students. What I'm going to do today, I'm gonna pick out some spots on the PowerPoint which I think are helpful. I'm going to show you a cool little hype video, we call it. Why is it hype? Because it's exciting, it's got music, and when students look at it, it gets them excited. It's got some fun things, it's got some serious things. I'll tell you a little bit about our history and how students afford us and how the admissions criteria and so on and so forth like that. But stop me at any time, ask any questions. I really mean that. And I've only done about 300 of these since last year, so I welcome dialogue. So, anyways, let me just tell you a little bit about the brief history. Um, this amazing journey started about 134 years ago, back in the late 1800s. And believe it or not, Black folks had some rights between the Civil War and Jim Crow. It only lasted about a minute, but there were some real smart people who took advantage of that quick minute and delved into Florida politics and were able to start a land grant university. Actually started in Jacksonville, transferred to Tallahassee. As you know your geography, Tallahassee is the state capital. One thing I like about Tallahassee, we're in northern Florida and we got lots of trees. It gets hot here. It's nice all year round, even in the winter. I was telling Miss Kiritan, our students like that. But we have hills. And for those of you who have been to Orlando and Miami, it's flat as a pancake. Well, it's not like that up here. As a matter of fact, we are, let me silence my phone, I apologize. We are on what we call the highest of seven hills. You see this, actually, I don't have on my rattlesnake shirt. We are the Rattlers. Normally I have a shirt with a rattler. How did that happen? Because this great spot of land that we were given, well, they weren't going to give Black folks some good land back then. It was infested with rattlesnakes. What did we do? We took lemons and made lemonade. That's a true story. That's not the mythology. Now that hill is a 5-minute walk to the Capitol. It overlooks everything. And if you ask a real estate agent, it's probably the most coveted piece of property in the whole city of Tallahassee. Really. Um, uh, Florida State University's campus touches ours. We've got some programs I'll tell you about that we do in conjunction. And that 5-minute walk, I mean, that's true to the Capitol. It's where the seat of government is, our governor, and a lot of our students actually intern there. The city of Tallahassee is not a big place like Jacksonville or Orlando or Miami. That's good because, normally students, they don't do good in an atmosphere like Vegas. It's a safe atmosphere. We're in a great neighborhood. It's very safe, and I think our students love it. We've got about 10,000 rattlers from all over the country, all over the world. I would say 8,000 of those are actually undergraduate students. We're very, very STEM heavy. About 8 of our colleges and schools out of the 14 are STEM related. And I'm going to run through some of those things on my PowerPoint. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And, I really love technology because it's hard to travel to a lot of spaces, but we can see each other and talk to each other and do our thing like this. But, normally if I have a student in front of me, one of the first things I'm going to say to them is, well, you know, Keisha, Johnny, what do you want to be when you grow up? what do you want to be? I mean, tell me your dreams, because we always tell students, hold on to those dreams, because we want to help you make those dreams come true. But now we have a little bit more eloquent way of saying that. We say discover what you can become. And career is a big thing. We want students to be, socially adept and meet friends and this and that. But I think that most people are going to college these days for upward mobility to make their situation better. And we realize that. Okay. Let's keep it rolling here. And you got to take these statistics with a grain of salt. I guess a lot of times it's better when you're on those things. But U.S. News and World Report, and I don't know what your opinion is, and I wouldn't hold it against you if you didn't like them. But they've rated us the top public HBCU in the country for the last 2 years in a row for a variety of reasons. And I talked about that social mobility. We're really, really high on the charts for when a student comes in, they're better off when they leave than before they got here. So we've got some great programs. This is a good way for students to get information about us. They can download our free mobile app, follow us on Instagram, like a lot of college universities. We have a very strong presence on social media, not as a gossip tool, but as far as for sharing information. Okay. All right. Let's get into our video. It's Ms. Kiritan, tell me if you can see this and hear this.
Yes.
Okay, beautiful. That orange were the rattlers. That orange is for the citrus in Florida. That green is for the agriculture in Florida. I'll see you in about 2 minutes. I like to tell people that last little scene that was on the video. That's it looks like that around here when it's not in a pandemic stage. The weather is always beautiful and people are out. And I think one good thing is that, and I hope you can't hear that drill, ladies, but this is a brand new building and they're making some changes. And what a heck of a time to drill in the middle of the day when people are working. But this is a very vibrant campus. Now we are an HBCU, but we've got people from all different walks of life, all different cultures, races, ethnicities here. And I think for the most part, everyone gets along. Now let's move it. Let's keep it rolling. I'm gonna skip a couple of these slides, and I want to show you a nice little shot of why in the heck would someone drill in the middle of a workday? But let's use our imagination here. Um, we're flat for the most part as a campus, but every entrance that you come to on campus, right? And we have kind of an open campus, it's not gated. You go up, and if you notice, one of the first things that I noticed when we were interviewing down here, when we flew in, I couldn't find the city on my side of the plane. It's like, wow, all these trees is the forest. We're about 30 miles from the Gulf of Mexico, and we're literally dropped down the city in the middle of forest. It's very, very nice. Now, this is the middle of our campus. This is there's a eternal flame and a fountain there, which is famous in the FAMU community because a few years ago we were named the top college in the country. We're on like Time Magazine, more national merit semifinalists, finalists than anyone. But use your imagination. Over to the right, right down the hill, it's a steep drop off. The Capitol is like right up the street, right? You've got Florida State pretty much right through these woods right here. As a matter of fact, you can see their scoreboard right there. As a matter of fact, we've got a lot of programs with them. One is the engineering college, and I'm going to tell you about that in just a few minutes. Now, we want our students to have a great time, meet boys and girls, see concerts and speakers and all that. But why do we really want to? You know why we want them to come here, Mrs. Curtin. We were just talking about this, to graduate. We've graduated more African Americans than any other college university in the country. Now, one of our sessions right here is our graduation normally takes place in the beautiful Al Lawson Center. It's an indoor facility for sports and for programs. This is where our young women play volleyball, basketball. Young men play volleyball, and we are a part of the NCAA Division I in sports. We've got 56 bachelor's degrees in 14 different colleges and schools. Okay, I'm gonna scoot through these colleges and schools real quick so we'll have time to talk. Well, we've got a school of architecture, engineering, technology, not just architecture, but all the things that go with it. Architects. What are we looking for in an architect? A creative student, right? Someone that can get something out of their head onto computer aided design and work with other people in building. And infrastructure is big. As a matter of fact, the president's getting ready to put through this big infrastructure bill. I hope it goes through, but we have a very respected school of architecture. It's a very, very diverse school too. Now, the College of Agriculture and Food Science. When I say the word agriculture, students normally will think of a man wearing a John Deere hat on thousands of acres of corn and wheat in Kansas and plowing fields. Well, it's kind of sort of like that. Agribusiness, food science, biosystems engineers. Although our biosystems engineers, they're helping that farmer by developing scientifically drought-resistant seeds, pest-resistant seeds, right? The food business is probably one of the biggest in the world, and scholarship-wise, this college has deep pockets. We have a great relationship with the United States Department of Agriculture, who provide a lot of scholarships for our students. This is where we also train our pre-veterinarian students, okay? College of Education. There is a shortage of African American teachers, and you've probably seen that in the classrooms, but I can't think of anything more noteworthy or important than to be a teacher or guidance counselor. An uneducated society is an uncivilized society. If you notice, we've got most of the concentrations up there, and a lot of the band directors across the country and across the state of Florida, from our world famous Marching 100, started here. We played the Macy's Parade in New York, the Rose Parade in LA, and they do a lot for us. Now, I love showing this slide right here, especially with a young woman of color, because only about 13% of the engineers in the country are women, far fewer women of color. But the first thing that I noticed when I walked into the FAMU, FSU, meaning Florida State, College of Engineering, it's the only partnership of this type in the country. I think U.S. News and World Report ranks us about 60 out of about 300 colleges of engineering across the country, second in Florida. But first thing I noticed, it looked like the United Nations. The second thing I noticed was there was a whole lot of women in there and a whole lot of women of color. Now, the guys are going to say, oh, wow. I'm like, guys, that ain't what I'm talking about. I'm talking about opportunities that women have. Got to be calculus ready for this. And we've got the National Magnet Laboratory here. They're building bipedal robots. They're building race cars. They have some very, very just out of sight labs. All right. College of Law. We all have heard and know of lawyers these days, and a lot of times of dubious reasons, to be honest with you. But we've got a nice diverse group, and the College of Law is in Orlando. Why is that? It's a bigger city, more judges, more lawyers, more opportunities to clerk and intern. Okay, we actually have a 3+3 program where a student could basically hack about a year off of that. Now, this is one of the programs that really put us on the map. College of Pharmacy, Pharmaceutical Sciences, and Institute of Public Health. Tell you a fact that I bet a lot of people on this campus don't even know. About a year ago, we became the first research organization in the country, second in the world, to 3D print a cornea. What does that mean besides a cornea is very vital for you to see? Animals normally get the short end of the stick in research, and they're using a lot of research. We think with more development of what we've done, we can take animals out of this research. But we call these people white coats. Why? It's a point of pride. There go the white coats. Um, from the graduate study part of becoming a pharmacist. Okay. College of Social Science and Arts and Humanities. We call this the conscience of the academy. Why is that? Check it out at the top: African American studies, music industry, philosophy, religion, those types of things. Two of the biggest employers are social work and criminal justice. But one of the programs I don't think we talk about enough is music and performing arts, whether it's the stage, whether it's movies, TV. We got a lot of contracts in the industry, record industry, and a lot of our students are very, very creative. Okay, College of Science and Technology. We have produced so many MDs, males and females, and we didn't make them smarter overnight. They were smart when they got here. We just kind of developed things, proper advisement, and so forth. But if you want to be a doctor, dentist, surgeon, this is probably one of there are various avenues. That pre-med, as we know, that is not a major but a track. We've got advisors to make sure our students have all the appropriate labs and courses and so forth like that. But they get a lot of support. A lot of the medical schools recruit here. That name FAMU, not bragging, it means something across the country in graduate schools, medical schools, law schools, the corporate world and so forth, like that. But this is all science. This is straight science right here. Got the School of Business and Industry. Three-pronged approach to their program. Not just the academics, but the academics is important. But leadership and development and interpersonal skills. What do our students know how to do? They know how to use those thumbs and text. You notice in the video, the chairman of the board of Microsoft is a FAMU graduate. He's on our campus a lot. If a student's on an elevator with him, do you think they're going to be able to text him when he wants to hear their elevator speech, so to speak? So that's a very important part of what we do. But that SBI big board back there, again, a lot of companies want what we have because they think we have the goods. That's $100,000 minimum investment to have their name on top there. As a matter of fact, we want a good relationship with the corporate world, which is why we require 2 internships for a student to graduate out of this program. All right. School of the Environment. This is the smallest school by a long shot. As I was saying, we're close to the Gulf of Mexico. That's part of these people's playground. All the first-year students have to do research with a seasoned veteran professor because we want them to get a heavy dose of what we're doing and see if they've got what it takes. And not only that, to see if they want to do that. All right. Clean air, clean water, red tide, algae bloom. Those are some biological problems that we have. There's occasionally oil spills in the Gulf of Mexico. As you know, that's a prime area for recreation and food. All right. So we've been involved in some big projects. Couple more programs here. School of Journalism and Graphic Communication. We've got the traditional journalism approach: broadcast, newspaper, magazine, online journalism. Then we've got a degree in public relations, right? Everybody knows what it is. Graphic design. Our students just won some big national awards at the ADDYS, ADDYS, advertisement, all right? As we know, graphic design is big these days, but we've got 2 major tools where our students can practice their craft. Number one, we have TV 20, our own TV station. Student run, student operated. They sell ads, they do the business, they do the creative, the writing, everything. We also have 90.5 on the FM dial. Okay. Again, student run, student operated. All right. 2 more programs. School of Nursing, oldest continuing baccalaureate program in the country, right here at little old FAMU. All right. You see that kind of different looking individual? back there, and I always tell the guys, you see that guy back there? We have a lot of guys in nursing program, but we've placed a several $1 million investment in a real certified triage hospital uh, right here on our campus, along with the virtual simulation models, virtual human beings. They have respiration, they've got heart rate, they've got blood pressure, they can talk, they can look around. They're controlled by Macintosh computers. So our students are in pre-nursing for 2 years before they go out to the community, right? We want them to have them ready before they're working on real human beings. Okay. But it's a great way to start. Last but not least, School of Allied Health Sciences. We've got graduate degrees for occupational physical therapy, and we've got undergraduate degrees, cardiopulmonary science. What is that? Respiratory therapy. None of them are employed, just like the nurses, healthcare management, health informatics. That's a top tier program in the country that involves the computer information systems for the medical profession. Okay. Now I'm going to switch gears. Do we have any questions so far before I switch gears here? Any questions so far? Because was that you, Miss
No
Kirsten?
questions from me. Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. I'm gonna, normally when students hear all this stuff, they like it, but when they hear this next part, that's when it gets kind of boring to them. When we start talking about, how do you get in here? Um, excuse me. This is not to sound elitist at all, but just to give you an idea of the student pool that we have. Um, we probably have over 8,000 applications right now from all over the country. The brand is big. There's 80,000 living alumni, right, with local chapters, and they get out the word for us. But our admit pool right now, the students who have been admitted, averaging about 1150 SAT, just under a 24 ACT, and about 3.87. Now we do give students credit for advanced classes, but and some are even higher than that, some are lower, but you need a minimum of a 3.0. You need these 18 academic units. We were, and Florida is, I say this kind of a smart alecky, but Florida is kind of special in other ways too. I think we were the only state in the country that did not go test optional this year. That is not a FAMU thing. That is a Florida Board of Governors thing. They control all parameters over the state university system, whether it's us or University of Florida, Florida State. And we need students to satisfy minimum scores in the SAT, the subset scores. If you notice, most students are kind of confused about this because they normally see a high 3-digit or a 4-digit number there. These are the subset scores, the same here. Essay, 2 letters of recommendation, and students can actually self-report. Like on honor system, they can actually self-report their grades and their courses, and that is important if a student wants to go ahead and apply when our application opens up June the 15th, opens up early, because they can actually get admitted then, because the test scores come from the agency. They can self-report, right? And then they can take care of all these other things and get a decision. We have a $35 app fee. A student, if they have a NACAC, SAT, or ACT fee waiver, they can actually, forego that application fee. Okay. Any questions about any of these admissions parameters? Anyone?
Lester, do you have a bridge program in case you have students who are not quite at a 3-point GPA?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. We do, Ms. Kira. That's a pro question. I should have said something about that. Say a student does. There's 2 things that we do. Say a student does uh, uh, finish a little short in that SAT or ACT, because you guys have seen plenty of students who you would place them up against any student you've ever seen, as far as intellect, as far as commitment and dedication, but they fall a little bit short on that SAT or ACT score. But for the student who falls a little short, we've got a program. This is not a provisional admit, that we just start them a little bit earlier in the summer with a couple of classes just to get them ready. They're admitted, okay? But then we have a different admission program, a student that's fallen a little bit shorter, that our admissions committee looks at them holistically and says, this student can do this. They've got what it takes. They can do this. but we put them in our summer bridge program, right? And that is a program where the student does have to be successful. They're here on campus to get admitted. But those are another couple of shots that people have to actually get admitted, other than being just a straight out admit. Okay, very very good question. Any other questions about this part right here? I know
So
it's
you're
different.
saying, so you're saying that this year you guys did not test opt out and you did not opt out of your application fee.
No, the application fee, we were able to, well, put it this way. Um, for a kid falling under those parameters, free or reduced lunch,
Right.
SAT, ACT, yes, but in general, the application fee stayed the same.
Okay.
This
Okay.
is Florida, Miss Curtin. You know, I won't go any further about that one, the political nature of things. But yeah, and oh, and believe me, uh, the 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 university people, the
Uh-huh.
admissions departments, a lot of the provosts didn't like it at all, because here's the thing: it wasn't just students not being able to score high enough; they couldn't get registered, and
Right.
students were actually getting registered, showing up for these tests, and there was no test given.
Yeah.
And you know, you're talking about some students who would have to drive like 30 and 40 miles away on a Saturday morning or whatever. They've been prepping for this test, and then there's no test when they get there. Oh, it was uh hmm, it just makes the skin on the hair of my neck crawl, basically. When you know, a student, a parent are telling you that on Monday morning, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
But let me show you something else. Students normally like this part much better. Right here, if I can get my computer to work. There we go. Now I want to show you where our first year students stay, but it's not just that this is a nice brand new building. I want to tell you about the Living Learning Communities program. This happens to be what we call the North and South Towers right here. This is two huge buildings. As a matter of fact, they're completing the on-site uh, 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 food hall uh, now, cafeteria, eating facility there. All right. But it's just, it'll knock your socks off. It's just so nice. Students will have roommates in here, but we have a program like a lot of universities do across the country called LLCs, Living Learning Communities. What is that? First of all, it's not a novel approach for us. A lot of people do it across the country that are serious about their academics, but it's like a built-in student support network. Say a student wants to become a doctor, and Keisha comes here and we move her into the towers. She is going to be around other future MDs living, right? That's the living part of it. They've got a lot of programming in the residence halls. But in addition to that, her first year, and this is an optional program, but we push it pretty hard. I know I push it pretty hard. She is actually going to be in class with a cohort of future MDs. It's not that we segregate them, but we want them around other. It's like a, peer pressure, but good peer pressure. Why,
Like-minded.
man, I'm gonna tell you, why do we do that? Because research shows across the country that students who are part of the living and learning community graduate at a higher clip, make better grades, and they're just overall happier. Not to mention, they're going to meet some of the best friends that they've ever had in my life. I've heard that. I've been at 6 institutions, but I've heard it a whole lot here about students meeting their freshman year and becoming friends for life. And let me show you something else. Oh, I missed this part. I wanted to show you this. This is very important. How do students, well, I can tell you one thing. Our 10,000 students don't have rich uncles. So we try to do our best to make this affordable, especially for out-of-state students. That priority deadline for someone with you know, good grades and good scores, it's going to be late October 2021 this year. But they've got to be admitted by then, because it's a competitive process. And we've had like just seriously great students contact us in December and say, why aren't you considering me? You didn't meet the deadline. And I'm gonna tell you, the scholarship office sticks to that. But there are other opportunities here for talent. Just like a coach needs talent, these deans and these colleges and schools need talent too. So we're looking for people that really want to be in a certain occupation, a certain career environment. Okay, we've got ROTC, Army, Navy, Air Force. I just spoke with a young lady who is foregoing starting in the fall. She's starting in the spring. Why? She's going into Army ROTC, right? And they're going to take care of most of her expenses. So she's going to get out of here pretty much loan free. She plans on, she'll be in the reserves when she's here. She'll have a summer commitment, but she's going to be in the reserves a few years afterwards. But the benefits far outweigh the negatives. All right. And we've got a lot of alumni based scholarships and so forth like that. Okay. Let me show you something else right here. Now, we've talked about a lot of things, but I'm going to tell you, our students, when I tell you what I normally tell students, they really trip out about it, because I always tell them that their life in high school is kind of similar to the life here, although here it's going to be on a grander scale. For instance, what high school doesn't have an SGA? Most do, okay? But our SGA is in charge of about $3.5 million with an M. That's right, and it's unbelievable. But and they get training, of course, but they decide. Like this guy, we call that striking. Remember the Rattlers? That's what happens at football games. But this young man was one of our former SGA presidents. You see, he's all painted up and having fun on a Saturday afternoon. I mean, it's just a great, and homecoming. I can't even describe homecoming to you. But he was just in charge of a lot of things. He had a lot of responsibility in addition to his studies. All right. Uh, high schools volunteer and have internship opportunities. So do we. Campus recreation, sports, student union, special events. But we've got our own bowling lanes. We've got hair salons for the ladies, barbershop for the guys. Why do we have these things? Because students, they're going to be here at least 9 months out of the year. We want them to have the amenities and feel comfortable. And we've got a lot of different dining options, but we still have Chick-fil-A and Starbucks and Wingstop and Tropical Smoothie Cafe and Pablo's Latino cafeteria. And I think the best chicken quesadilla I've ever had in my life came from a food truck, Latino food truck. I mean, just awesome. I want to show you about another. One thing that I like about here, I've been here 2.5 years, and I like to get a lot of my information. I like to get the straight dope from the students, because they'll tell you the truth. And the 2.5 years I've been here, I've known students, I mean, personally, that have literally traveled all over the world. Some students don't want to travel. Sometimes opportunities just fall out of the sky like a tree branch and hit our students on the head. They don't want to do it, but a lot of them do. But we have a lot of relationships across the world, whether it's corporations or universities, and we want to showcase our students, right? One of the good things we do, we help them afford these things. And one of the first things we do when they get here, we make the passport process available to them and teach them about that, because we want to, we want to showcase our students, and we want to, a lot of times an experience like that will change a person's life. And I've seen it happen. So that's a great program too. So that's a lot of me babbling, and a lot of we have the beauty about this country, in my opinion. There's several thousand college universities that students have to choose from. That's especially people of color. We didn't always have it that way. That's a beautiful thing. And I think that a motivated student can go a lot of different places and be successful. I mean, it is what it is. But I think one of the things that I have seen here, what separates the education is very good. The network here, oh my God, is superb. I've never seen an army of alumni. These local chapters, they have going away parties. They have coming home parties. Scholarship dollars, right? Um, I mean, you name, but at this point, we've got so many people. The chapters almost compete in a good way. I've been in these conferences, these alumni conferences, where they're ribbing each other about, well, you guys gave $50,000, but we've got $60,000 handing checks to the president. A lot of that's going into students' pockets. And I think that's one of the big things as far as these rattlers wanting to pull other rattlers along. I'll give you for instance. The lady who was in charge of CBS News, who just recently became president of ABC News, like within the last 2 weeks, Kimberly Godwin. She's the president of ABC News. She's going to be calling the shots there. Guess where we had exclusive internships at CBS? I'm sure
Wow.
she's going to do something similar. You know, Microsoft, the same. You've got the chairman of the board of Microsoft. Now, again, not to brag, but I'm going to be honest with you, that affords us certain opportunities that we would not otherwise have as
Wow.
far as programs on their campus where students are paid, you know, have internships and they're going to school. I mean, that's a heck of a thing to have on your portfolio. So, you know, that's pretty much us in a nutshell. We're keeping the standards up because um, that is tied to our budget here in Florida. Remember those pesky board of governors? And you know, I understand that this year we scored more points on their scale than we ever have. And to score points on their scale, you got to be meeting certain parameters. Excuse me, and doing things very well. So we're doing something right. So here we are.
Lester, what's the tuition cost for Florida A&M?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask money things. You know, I get so into this, I forget about that stuff. In state, about 17,500, which is probably the most reasonable fee that you're going to see in a state.
It is.
Around 29,000 out of state. And again, we try to do some things, especially for better students, to make that more affordable.
Wow. That really is um very reasonable, right?
Right, right. We're doing a lot of electronic books now to save on that, you know, that textbook
Good for you.
scam thing.
Good deal.
That I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, you know, I remember when I started college, and I wasn't the first to go to college in my family, but my brothers and sisters pretty much did everything for themselves. And I can remember walking in the bookstore that my first day on this is my first day on campus, and I noticed that the books had price tags on them. This is 1979, and I'm like, you know, for what, 12 years, you get your books handed out to you, you give them back. And I'm thinking, you know, there's my calculus book I'm going to take it. And that back then, it was probably $85. Now imagine what that costs today,
Hmm.
right? I mean, I'm not ashamed to tell this because I was just flabbergasted. But we do a lot of electronic textbooks now.
Good deal.
To, you know, because not as much as before, but a lot of our population are still first generation students
Yeah.
who have that same shock.
Yeah. Isn't that something that we can say that in 2021 that we're still seeing first generation, you know,
Amazing, isn't it? It's
oh my goodness.
it's amazing. It's amazing.
You would think in this day and age that that would have been left behind us by at least 20 years.
Well, you'd figure if we can go to Mars and get real time information from Mars, that we could educate our society. But I guess it just depends where the priorities are.
Wow. Wow.
I mean, I guess you know, I suppose there's always going to be discrepancies. I think there always is. That may not sound like it being an eternal optimist, and I'm probably not, but
I like that you guys have a study abroad program. I think that is such an underdeveloped and under encouraged area for students to go in. You know, we don't speak enough about that, and we don't let our students know how many opportunities they have in that area. You know.
right, right. We just try to get across to our students that going to South Africa or going to China is not going to Mars. You know, it's much, much easier because a lot of them, you know, haven't been out of the country or been to very many states. So when they have students around them that are doing things, you know, they say if you can see it, you can do it. It's like leading by example. And you know, students will listen to students far more than us anyways.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Wow. Roseanne, do you have any questions for Lester?
I do have one question. Um, if there's a student, like let's say that lives in Michigan and they wanted to attend your university,
Yeah.
do they have to move there? Like, do you have like any programs that are like where they could totally finish a degree online?
No, not undergraduate programs. We don't. This would be a full residential experience.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. But one of the things that students like, we've got we get a lot of students. I'd say our biggest out of state market is Atlanta. Why? It's very close to us, a few hours drive, less than 4 hours, and there's several million people there. But whether it's LA or Detroit, Chicago, New York, or DC area, we've got local clubs, so to speak, that those students can get like a taste of home, so they don't get quite so homesick. And it's not that they need that, but just so it's good to be a part of something, especially when you're miles and miles from home.
So you do have some courses that can be done online, but you're going to have to be in person for the majority of your degree program,
Well, I'll
correct?
tell you, Ms. Carrington, that's a good point you bring up, and I forgot about this, but the pandemic made us go like almost totally online,
Okay.
right? But
Okay.
that was a temporary kind of
Situation.
thing. But this is made to be an undergraduate residential experience here at FAMU.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
Now, do you anticipate being fully back on campus by fall?
we sure do. I'm back in my office for the what's today, Wednesday, for the third day since March 17th, 2020.
Wow.
And my mask is right over there. So if I get out to go get a drink of water or go to the bathroom, I gotta have that mask on, and we have to be tested.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And you can tell from our campus that things are still different. But you know, um, we have every plan, starting with graduation.
Hmm.
We have every plan to be back 100% full go.
Well,
We'll see how it goes.
I was
We'll see
going to
how it
say
goes.
we'll keep hope alive.
Well, hey, that's normally how I end it. It's so funny you said that. That's normally my expression that I stole from Jesse Jackson, that I end every single one of these with. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. Who thought that we were going to even be in a pandemic? So anything could happen.
Certainly, certainly. Again, I was speaking with a colleague this morning, and I was just saying, when we first went into our lockdown, I'm thinking, 2 weeks, and then it
Same here.
extended, and then it extended again. And I never would have imagined that a
Oh
whole,
no, you're right. You're right. I know in June we got this. Okay, we're getting ready to come back, and then about 2 weeks later, they said, well, don't even worry about it right now. We'll let you know something. And that was a year ago.
yeah, yeah,
So who would have thought? Who would have thunk it? So
absolutely,
we'll hope for the best.
absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time, Lester. It
You're
was
welcome.
one presentation. Roseanne, if you don't have any more questions, we will wrap this up now.
You
And
guys ever need me, just hit me up. And I'm pretty good with email. So just hit me up, and you got friends down here.
thank you so much. And I am absolutely going to do that.
Keep hope alive, man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Enjoy the rest of your
Thank
day and your summer.
Earl,
you.
thank
Oh,
you, Ms. Madigan, and say hi to Earl.
I sure will. I sure will.
Yeah.
Thanks
All
so much,
righty.
everybody, for
Yes,
joining.
ma'am.
Have a great day.
Thank you.